Hi, Amy. Welcome to the show.
Hey there, thanks so much for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. First of all, congratulations on your
Thank you.
new book. This is so exciting.
So exciting.
You've written a new book. It's called 2 Weeks Notice. Find the courage to quit your job, make more money, work where you want, and change the world. Can you tell us a little bit more about this amazing book?
Yes, I always say I'm an ex-corporate girl turned accidental entrepreneur. That word entrepreneur, it was never even part of my vocabulary 14 years ago when I went out on my own. I could say business owner, but entrepreneur seemed a little too fancy. So what happened was I have always thought I would be climbing that corporate ladder, and I was really good at being an employee. I liked that regular paycheck, paid vacations, benefits, all that good stuff. But what happened was my very last 9 to 5 job was with peak performance coach Tony Robbins. And for about 6.5 years, I got to travel the world with Tony's team and work on the content that he does on stage at Unleash the Power Within and Date with Destiny. If you know Tony, you know those events. And while I was there, he did a focus group where he brought in a bunch of online business owners and he went around and he said, "Tell me about your businesses." I was brought into the meeting to take notes. So that was humbling enough. But here I was listening to all these guys, they were all men, talk about their businesses they've created. And in that moment I realized, wait a second. They have something that I do not have. They have freedom. They're working when they want, where they want, how they want. They're building these amazing businesses, making tons of money and tons of impact. And in that moment, for the first time in my life, I was in my 30s, I thought, I want a piece of that. I don't exactly know what they're doing or how they're doing it, but I want a piece of that. So fast forward 14 years later, and now that I have a multi-million dollar business and I get to serve many, many people helping them build their businesses, I thought, I'm going to write the book that I wish I had when I was first starting out. The book to help me transition out of a 9 to 5 job into my own business. But then once I have my own business, how the heck do I even get it started? So I wrote the step by step guidebook to actually get your business off the ground.
It's so good, guys. I have to tell you, I wish I had this book when I started my business. When I started my first business, I was piecemealing things together. This was back when
Same.
Amazon was actually a bookstore, and that's all they sold was books. And I was reading things like How to Start a Business for Dummies, The E Myth, trying to figure out how to piece this all together so that I could quit my job, which I personally hated my job, absolutely hated my job. And I wanted nothing more than to be my own boss. So this is the book that I wish was written back in the day,
I love that.
too. Yeah. Listen, writing a book is such a process. I feel like you leave a part of yourself behind in the book. In each
Mm.
page, you leave a part of yourself. It's a revealing process about yourself. And we could have a whole podcast episode just dedicated to what it's like writing a book. But I love to ask this question of every guest who's an author on the show. What was the best part about writing this book for you?
Oh, I love that question. The best part was to see how far I had come. It was a great reminder that, wow, it was really tough in the beginning. I doubted myself at every corner, every turn. And I really didn't know I had it in me. I wanted to have it in me. I kept going even when things got really tough for a while. But I told some stories in this book that I didn't want to tell. And I didn't want to tell them because they made me look weak. They kind of showed all of my weaknesses and insecurities. And I thought, I'm supposed to be the guide here. I can't tell stories that will make me look like I don't have it all together. And then I realized I don't have it all together. No one really does. And so if I'm not honest about that, I don't want my reader to think she needs to be perfect in this and that she has to have it all together and she has to know exactly where she's going at all times. I have not over the 14 years. And so I really tell the stories that shine a light on really how messy this can be, but how beautiful it can be as well, and how rewarding it is. I always say that the worst day in my entrepreneurial life, and I've had some really rough times, my worst day is still better than the best day in my 9 to 5 job. And that's because I'm free. I'm calling the shots. I'm deciding how I want to live my life. And so it's worth all those challenges. But yeah, the best part was kind of to see how far I'd come and to give other people permission to make all those mistakes and do all the things they need to do to get to where they want to get to. It's never too late to create the business and life that you absolutely desire.
Oh, yeah, it's never too late to get started. Never, ever, ever too late. We're going to talk about some things that hold us back a little bit later in our interview. But in the book and earlier in our interview, you just described this moment where you had this realization? You sort of got your first whiff of entrepreneurship. And I want to read a little passage of what you wrote because it hit me. It really hit me because I've had the same moment in my life. You said, I've been following a script for my life designed by someone else entirely. I wasn't even sure who had written the script I was following, but it sure wasn't me. That hit me for six. When I read that, I said, oh my God, that's me too. I've had that moment a few times in my life, funny, funny enough, where I'm like, whose plan am I following? Because it's not my plan, right?
Exactly. You know, when I look back at that plan, I know it was rooted in my childhood. So I grew up with a really strict dad. It was his way or the highway. And he was like my first official boss. And then I get into the 9 to 5 world after college and I have all these bosses. And I think I was living how I thought I was supposed to be. Like if I want to get the promotions, if I want to get the raises, I have to show up and act a certain way. And I feel as though I either lost myself or didn't even know who I was in those early years. And the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship, when you actually quit your job, you leave it 100% behind and you are 100% supporting yourself. The beautiful thing about that is you will never see more personal growth than that experience right there. Like for entrepreneurship, 80% of it, I think, is around personal development. 20% is all the stuff you figure out to grow the business. It's such a beautiful way to find who you are and to step into that. And so for me, that's what I had to do. I had to kind of figure that out as I went along.
Yeah, I feel like owning a business is like looking in a mirror. It's going to reveal back to you things about yourself that you love, that you're so good at, but also things that maybe you don't love so much.
Oh, so true. So true. When I'm having a rough day and kind of complaining to my husband about all the work I need to do or how overwhelmed I am, he'll always say, you should go look in the mirror and talk to your boss and see if she'll give you a break. Like reminding me, like, you are calling the shots here. You can change how you do this. And sometimes I forget, oh, I'm the boss. I forgot that.
I'm going to use that with my husband because we're both entrepreneurs. So next time
Perfect.
he's complaining with me, I'm going to steal Hobie's line. I love that.
Do it.
Well, today I'm hoping that you can give us a classic Porterfield pep talk on how we can quit our 9 to 5 job and go all in on this business, whether we just have a business idea to start, or maybe we've started a business and it's a side hustle. Maybe we've been in business for a while and we're still tethered to that 9 to 5 job. So I'm looking forward to this Porterfield pep talk, is what I'm calling it, because you've been my business coach for so many years, my guide on the side, helping me grow my business and figure things out in my business. So I can't wait for my listeners to hear from you on this. So many entrepreneurs, they struggle, especially in this space when it
Yeah.
comes to quitting your 9 to 5 job. And the thing they struggle with first is what you call this immobilizing self doubt. It keeps
Mm,
so many women from going after their dreams. And there's just this long list of not enoughness that
yes.
holds us back, right? So to the woman who's listening right now who's thinking, you know what, I'm not ready enough. I'm not young enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not old enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not talented enough. What would you say to her when it comes to starting a business and quitting her job?
I love this question because I work primarily with women. And what I've noticed, but I'm in a kind of a man's world, the online marketing space, I grew up in it with just a bunch of guys telling me how to do it and what to do. And so I watch them. And when this is not for all men, this is a generalization, but I watch a lot of men not know how to do something and they think, I'll figure it out. I'll just act as though I do know how to do it. And they've got this bravado and confidence that I'm like, give me just an ounce of that because it kind of blows my mind. And at times we could just kind of be annoyed by it, like the audacity. But in the next breath, it's kind of refreshing. And so when I work with women, I remind them that nobody has it all figured out. Nobody knows exactly what they're doing. But the secret here is really tapping into what do you want? What kind of life do you want to live? Because the mistake I made when I started my business is that I built a business and then tried to stuff in a lifestyle that I wanted into a business I had already created. Doesn't work very well. Whereas what I wish I did, and what I want to say to the women listening right now, First, get clear on the kind of life you want. How do you want to show up? How do you want to live your life? Do you want to be able to pick your kids up at 3 o'clock from school? Do you want to have your nights and weekends off? Do you want to work a 4 day work week instead of Monday through Friday? What do vacations look like? How do you spend your money? Let's get clear on the lifestyle that you want. Just because you want it, it can be yours. I really do believe that. No opinions matter except your own. And so when you get clear on the lifestyle that you want, then ask yourself, having this 9 to 5 job that I likely don't want, where I'm probably underpaid and undervalued, where often I get overlooked, where I'm going to absolutely hit a glass ceiling if I haven't already, is this going to fit into the lifestyle I want? Or do I need to go all in with this business I've been thinking about or dabbling with or actually already creating, no matter where you are? Do I need to go all in so that I could build a life and a business beyond my wildest expectations? The thing is that I want you to hear is that the world waiting for you, the life you can create, you don't even know that how good it can get. You don't even know yet because you're not fully living in it just yet. And as long as you have one foot in and one foot out, you'll never fully realize how good it can be. And so I want to give you permission, courage. I want to kind of push you out there and say, what will it take to go all in? In my book, 2 Weeks Notice, I build a ramp or a runway for people to say, okay, if you're not ready to leave your 9 to 5 job, let's get you ready. What are all the things we need to do to get you ready to actually go out that door for the very last time? So I've got the guide in the book, but it's the mindset that I really need to shift first and say, how good can you get it? How good do you want it? And you have to go after it. One foot in and one foot out is not going to get you there.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I mean, I remember back in my days with one foot in and one foot out, and the women that I've coached over the years, it's such a struggle point. But I think where they get stuck is this sort of idea, but what if I fail? What
Yeah.
if I don't make any money? What if my partner doesn't support me? What will my friends and family think about me quitting my job to go all in on my business, you know? So to
Yes.
that woman, what do you like what is the step we need to take, or what's the sign maybe that we're
Yes.
looking for, that we are just, this is it, we're ready to quit our 9 to 5 and to give our 2 weeks notice?
So the first thing is I want to address, like, what will my friends and family think? What if I crash and burn? What if this doesn't work out and I have to beg for my job back? These are all the things that went through my head. And I, between my husband and one of my really good girlfriends, Jasmine Starr, both of them were in my ear constantly. And one of the things that I was reminded is that if somebody is not doing what you want to be doing, if they're not living your dream, they do not get an opinion. And so you can respect them and love them, but that doesn't mean they get an opinion on what you're going to do with your future. And something I learned early on is that anyone that is more successful than you, anyone who has the kind of business you want, who has built the kind of wealth you want to build, who has the freedom you want, anyone more successful than you is 99.9% of the chance not going to leave a negative comment for you online, tell you that you can't do it, bring you down. That's not what successful people do. So you've got to consider the source. When you do get the negative feedback, when people do doubt you, it's because they're coming from a place of they didn't figure it out. So they feel as you should be cautious as well. All of those opinions are a perception of how they're living their life and how they see their life going. So be very careful listening to other people's opinions about your future, about what you want to create. And the other thing that I'll say is that if you're thinking, okay, I just really want to do it, what do I need to do to like make sure that this actually happens? One of the things is you need to tell a few people that you trust that aren't going to bring you down to help you keep you accountable. So when I was leaving my 9 to 5 job, I told 3 people: my husband, my mom, and my best friend. Only 3 people, because I knew they were going to lift me up when I came crashing down. And when I doubted it, they were still going to push me out that door and encourage me to do it. And believe me, I took 6 months to actually leave once I chose my exit date. And there were times that I thought, maybe I don't need to quit. Maybe I'll just have a side hustle and do this 9 to 5 thing. And my husband would remind me, you want freedom. You said you wanted to call the shots. You'll never do that in your 9 to 5 job. So I needed people around me to build me up. So if you're feeling stuck, if you haven't taken that leap, I want you to confide in 3 people. Tell them your exit date. That's a big thing in my book, choosing your exit date. Let them know your exit date and ask them to hold you accountable, to check in with you often, to remind you of why you're doing this, to help you when you feel really shaky about your decision. Because it's a scary thing to quit your job and start your own business. It's something most people won't do. But most people aren't living the life that they're meant to live because they're so scared to take that risk. So get people around you who will encourage you to move forward.
Such a great piece of advice. It really is a motivator. And I feel like once you speak it out and a few people know about it, you're almost obligated to do it because you've told
Yes.
people.
Yes, like you got to do it. You put it out there. It's so very true.
Yeah. So, my next question is around money because this is where we really get stuck. Do you have
Mm.
any strategies for dealing with any money anxiety around quitting? What if you're scared to quit because you don't think you'll earn enough to support yourself?
Yes, this is very real. So first of all, if you have money anxiety and that's why you're not leaving your 9 to 5 job, that's very real. We all have it. One of the things that I teach in 2 weeks notice is in this runway, you're going to get clear about your finances. So we can't close our eyes and it's pretend we don't see or hear it. We've got to really look at where are we financially? You might be in debt. A lot of people are. We're going to take the shame away from that, but also just like how much do you actually need to make every month to get by, to pay the bills, to put food on the table? Because in that first year of entrepreneurship, we're going to get scrappy. We're not redecorating the house or getting new wood floors or buying the car or going on vacation. We're really scrappy that first year just so that we don't have to pressure ourselves to make a ton of money to get by. And so when you get clear on how much money you really actually have to make each month to get by, you can ask yourself, okay, maybe I want 3 months of just a little nest egg before I leave my 9 to 5 job. I don't want you to say I'm going to save up 2 years of living expenses. That's never going to happen and you're never going to leave. But just a little nest egg wouldn't hurt. So, how are you going to do that? Let's say you're giving yourself 6 months to leave your 9 to 5 job. Now you're going to get a plan. You're going to use my book to put an exact plan together. And you're going to save 3 months of living expenses just to have a little cushion. That will give you some confidence to make sure that you're taken care of in the early days of going out on your own. I have a good friend who he didn't have an exit date, he had a dollar amount. Once he saved X amount of money, he was out. And because he wanted it so bad, he was super aggressive in saving that money. He cut back everywhere he could. So, money anxiety is real. And also get clear and realistic about your money so that you could look at it in total honesty versus worrying about something you don't know what it even looks like.
Oh, yeah. I think too, this exercise of going through your finances, understanding what realistically you can put away, what would make you feel, I feel just a little risky to quit your job. It's just
Yes.
enough, right? Is going
Yes.
to set you up for success in your business in the long run because you're paying attention to the dollars and cents. And that's a
Yes. I
place where
love
people
that.
can, yeah, they can get really stuck and not pay attention to that. You're creative, you want to be creative, or you're strategic over here. You're not paying attention to the money coming in and
Yes.
going out. So I feel like that's just a really good practice to adopt early on in your business,
For
regardless.
sure.
Yeah. So sometimes we just need that first next step, that guide to give us permission and also to say, okay, here's what I want you to go and do. So, in listening to you, I know that we need to go tell 3 people, like, we are quitting our job and this is our quit date. And
Yes.
we also need to sit down and think through a financial plan that is realistic, that makes sense, but it might feel a little scary.
Yeah, it should feel scary. If it doesn't feel scary, we're not really going after it. So the scariness, you're going to do it scared. Yes. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So, we have a scary financial plan.
Yes.
We need a glass of wine to really
Yes.
mull it over.
So true.
What is then our next step after we've mapped that out? What is the next step that we're going to take?
So, one of the fun things, but absolutely necessary, is to get your starter idea going. So, a lot of those listening right now, they've got their starter idea. If you're in the wedding industry market, then you know what you want to do with that. So, you've already come over a big hurdle. A lot of people I talk to don't know what they would do in their business, don't even know what their side hustle would be. And in the book, I take you through something called the sweet spot. If you are stuck with that, I help you come up with your starter idea. But a lot of people, would you agree, listening probably do have that idea? Okay, great. So they've got this idea. So the next thing I want you to do is I want you to start thinking, okay, how can I grow my audience? Because once you start to grow your audience, everything becomes easier. And I'm talking an audience on social media, but I'm also talking about an email list, something that people often overlook and take way too long to get started, but it's essential. And I go through how to grow an email list in the book step by step. But in order to grow an audience, whether it be on social or with your email list, you've got to be creating consistent original content. Content is queen here, and it's something you can do while you're still in your 9 to 5 job. So when I say create content, what I'm talking about is starting a blog or a podcast or a weekly video show or maybe a weekly live Q&A that you do on Instagram or Facebook, but it's weekly. That consistency is what will cut through the noise online. You will become that go-to guide for those that need you. And so I want you to start thinking about how might I create content? What kind of content would I create? Where am I going to post it? What am I going to talk about? And that doesn't mean you need to be on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever. I don't know who of us are using Snapchat for business. I'm not. But regardless, you don't have to be on everything all the time. Let's choose one social media platform and learn it well. One of my friends just told me she gets 3 million views a month on Pinterest, and that's how she grows her audience. In the wedding industry, I could see that working really well. So you can't go wrong with what you choose as long as your audience is spending time there. But let's get serious about content. In 2 weeks' notice, I have an entire chapter about choosing your content, posting your content, planning your content, all of that to grow your audience. And I think it's a really important move early on.
Oh, yeah, I would definitely agree. Guys, this book is literally a step by step guide on how to start a business, how to quit your job, and how to go full time. It is literally
Yes.
what you would expect. If you know Amy, you know she doesn't do fluff, she cuts right to the chase. She's all about strategy with a little mindset hug. And that's what this book is. It's so, so good. Amy, I have one final question for you.
Okay.
And it's about that girl sitting in the boardroom where you open up the
Yes.
book with your entrepreneur story. If
Yes.
you could go back to that Amy, who's sitting in that boardroom with all these men talking about success and freedom and abundance, whose mind has just been opened up to the possibility that she could start a business. And look how far we've come. I mean, we've come so far.
Yes.
You
Yes.
weren't necessarily Amy Porterfield then, but you're Amy
No,
Porterfield
no, no.
now. If you could imagine going back to her in that moment, what's something that you would tell her?
There's so much I would want to tell her. But one of the things that I wish I would have had back then was that inner Beyonce kind of fierceness. I wish I could have looked around the table, and this is just a mindset shift. So, anyone listening right now, you can do this. I wish I would have looked around that table and thought, if they can do it, so can I. Why not me? And I wish that I got really fierce and was like, watch me. I'm going to prove you all wrong. You guys think I can't do this? You think I just know these little skills here that you've only seen? Watch me. I'm going to blow this up. I think we need a little bit of fierceness in us. We don't need to tell anyone about that, but I think it's so important that we find it in us. We don't need to be meek. We don't need to be humble. We don't need to be quiet. Quite honestly, we need to be louder. We need to put ourselves out there in a bigger way, and we need to start playing a bigger game. And I wish that I had mustered that up early on. It took me years to find that. And when you find it, and it's in all of us, every one of us has it. It's just that getting the courage to show it and bring it up. When I found it, I was able to move mountains compared to what I was able to do in the early days. Like my confidence and courage allowed me to do things I never thought was possible. And here's the little secret. You have to get uncomfortable. When you want to find that inner Beyonce, that fierceness, it's uncomfortable in the beginning. That is the point. That is where growth is. So, all of you listening right now, every single day, find a way to get uncomfortable. Choose your exit date. That will make you uncomfortable. Start posting on social media. That's going to make you uncomfortable. Ask for a favor. Ask for advice. That might make you uncomfortable. You have to get uncomfortable to get to where you ultimately want to go.
Oh, Amy, that was so good. We're going to end on that note. That was so, so very good.
Oh,
So,
good.
aside from picking up 2 weeks notice and reading it cover to cover, where can our listeners hang out with you?
Well, thank you so much for asking. So, when you get the book, I've got bonuses to take you even beyond the book, scripts, templates, marketing strategies to help you. So, go to 2weeksnoticebook.com to get my bonuses. So, 2weeksnoticebook.com to get my bonuses once you grab the book. And also, I have a podcast called Online Marketing Made Easy. So, you can get a lot more free strategies there as well.
You have bonuses and fun extra stuff for us to
Yes.
play around with and use. Of course you do. Well, Amy, congratulations again on this amazing book. Thanks for all the work that you do for us women to grow our businesses. We couldn't do it without you.
Thank you, friend. Loved chatting with you today.